Hola amigos, qué gusto saludarlo desde el autódromo de Gilles Villeneuve aquí en Montreal, en Canadá. Yo soy Marco Barbanera, este es Apex Racing TV, la cuarta fecha del campeonato SKR aquí en Apex Racing TV. Y conmigo, Evan Wood making his Apex Racing TV debut. Welcome Evan, welcome to the booth. And I hope you are as excited as my middle school Spanish.
Well, I tell you what, Marco, I'm real excited for this first race here to commentate with you. It looks like we got some great weather, and looks like the drivers are ready to get set for some exciting racing here.
Absolutely, and we have had a fantastic league so far. As we were saying, the fourth race of the season, and we have had two different winners. Juan Rivas Brea won in Charlotte, but could have been quite easily the third victory in a row, the one in Laguna Seca for Dino Sassone Torcello, who was leading in Charlotte and spun during his pit exit procedure after the mandatory stop that these guys will have to do, and had to settle for second. But then the Argentinian driver was absolutely flawless in both Interlagos and Laguna Seca with 2 rounds left in the championship. It's very tight at the top of the table with the Argentinian leading over Miguel Angel Lopez Torres and the other Argentinian of Bruno Alcaraz with Ignacio Siriso, Mauricio Otero, Cristian Vizcarra, Cejas, Javier Paez Moreno, Juan Rivas Brea, Adolfo Macar, and all the rest of these drivers looking very, very competitive as we had, as I said, into the final, into the back end of the season. Qualifying is going on right now, so let's see what the situation is as we have 10 minutes left. So, Evan, first of all, again, welcome to the booth, and second, how do you like this racetrack? Personally, one of my favorite in world motorsport.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Marco. I've known this track for a long time now, going back to the older Formula One games. But driving these GTE cars, they're quite wide and a little bit on the heavier side. So, watching those track limits is going to be very vital today. But yeah, I've always loved this track. It's very unique, and just not outbraking yourself seems to be one of the key features to getting around here quick.
Last night we were commentating on the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Series around this place, and I can tell you it was race 1 was very, very calm, relatively, of course, but then race 2, all hell broke loose. This is a place, as you were saying, doesn't allow for any mistake, and if someone in front of you, especially at the beginning of the race, makes a mistake, it is very, very easy to be involved in their mistake. And these guys, of course, this is a sprint race with GTs. Despite having a mandatory stop, it's just basically fuel only. There is no real strategy other than push hard and hope for the best. And so having a good qualifying, having a clean start is absolutely mandatory in my opinion. As you can see on the screen, we have BMWs, Corvettes, Porsches. I think we should have a Ferrari as well. No Fords, unfortunately, in this championship. What is your favorite car out of this group of GTs?
Well, I gotta tell you, Marco, I have a pretty fresh perspective here to the GTE class. I've just started racing them here within the last 4 or 5 months. But before this Corvette release, the BMW was a pretty safe, sound drive for me personally, depending on the track layout. But this new Corvette, it's very comfortable under braking, and I've noticed from endurance races I've done here recently that it's built like a tank in the front end, where you can kind of take a little bit of damage here and there from curb strikes and stuff. So I think we got a good mix here. I understand though why there might not be as many Ford drivers. I've heard that it's a little bit more of a handful to drive.
Yeah, I agree with you that speaking of the Corvette, we have Bruno Alcaraz here with probably one of the best liveries I've ever seen on iRacing. Fits this Corvette perfectly. I tend to agree with you. I think that the Ford is the more prototypey of the GTs, if that is a word, you know. It needs to be driven in a completely different way compared to, for example, the BMW, which I can find one. There we go, Dolfomacher from the beautiful country of Peru. So yeah, the BMW is like the most balanced, reliable for terrible drivers like me, you know. And then you go, of course, if you can master the Ford, if you can master the Porsche, you can be quicker overall, but these are cars that don't allow for any kind of mistake, whilst yeah, the BMW, and partially the Corvette, and maybe the Ferrari are a little bit more, as I say, quote-unquote friendly to terrible drivers like me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They're very comfortable to drive. I've driven the Ferrari too as well, and it seemed pretty stable as well. And I couldn't agree more about driving that Porsche. This last GT race I tried out at Le Mans, they were a handful to keep behind you in those Porsche curves. So I wouldn't have any doubt that if you put it in a capable driver's hands, he's going to be able to get around here with some fast lap times today.
Qualifying is at 5 minutes left, and what a surprise, it's Tito Sassone Torsello in first place. He's got 2 tenths over Juan Rivas Brea, who is facing the wrong direction, and Miguel Lopez Torres, so a very, very traditional top 5 for this championship. So driver still without a time on that is Freddy Yempen here with his BMW heading into the final chicane. Of course, on this racetrack, apart from the walls, it is super easy to get an off track or a slowdown at the chicanes, therefore ruining your lap and therefore forcing you to start again. But this is not the case for Freddy, who jumps into 8th place overall. And so now without a time we have Johnny Kushiken here, Julio Del Carpio and Javier Paez. They are still without a time. As I was saying, mandatory stop for these drivers. The fuel tank is very restricted, so expecting them to pit around the 20-25 minute mark. Again, it's going to be a very, very short race, which, as I was saying, puts the emphasis on speed and on making the least number of mistakes possible, which I think these drivers at this point know very, very well how to do, given that this is the fourth race of the championship. And of course, first race and third race we had a rolling start. The second race we had a standing start. Now let's see if in this fourth race we'll have I think we're going to have a rolling start. I think that was just a mistake, but standing start with these cars is if you have it, the guy, you need to have your traction control override button mapped, otherwise you are going nowhere at the start of the race. You are basically just starting as slow as a snail. That's my experience in one of the rare occasions that I started these cars from standby position.
Yeah, that's correct. These things they don't want to take off as quickly, and they can be a little bit of a handful. But as you were saying, with these track limits and trying to keep it tight, it just goes to show these guys battling up here for these top positions in the championship. They got to get a good qualifying session in here, and try to avoid those early collisions in those first few corners, and they can start to build a gap.
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely, and I again, not to wanting to repeat myself, but yeah, getting a good qualifying here is important. You can see these drivers are pushing very hard. Here comes Bruno Alcaraz, but I think this will be an invalidated lap. I saw him have an excursion. Driver on a good time, Mauricio Otero, and driver on a good time just behind him and getting his draft is Miguel Lopez Torres. So let's stay with the Peruvian Mauricio Otero and his beautiful Porsche, getting this glorious flat 6 sound as we head into the final chicane. Oh, and behind him Lopez Torres, I think he just brushed the wall, but could have been a little bit of connection playing tricks on us. Otero improves himself, doesn't improve his position, but no, Lopez Torres has his lap invalidated, and therefore that will be that. We have seen a tendency of course, these cars, the quick laps, usually you get them in the very beginning of the session, as again, Bruno Alcaraz having a fair amount of issues and hitting the wall, so he will not have any more time to finish a lap. We have only 1 minute left. These cars, of course, in iRacing are, I think, built, if I'm not mistaken, to WEC standards and rules, which sadly mandate that you cannot do burnouts on coming out of your pit stall, and that's why, for example, I'm sure you when you get out of the pits with traction control on, you might have felt like these cars really don't want to cooperate most of the times. Seems like you are trying to push a boulder, and they don't want to go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And back to that lap for Miguel. The extra frustrating part for him there, as you talked about, this is kind of a momentum track where if you get it green in that first sector, that'll help you carry it throughout the lap. And he had a green middle sector there, so those things are real frustrating when you got one lap to get it done and you're late in the qualifying session.
Mauricio Otero gets 4th place just as the clock strikes 15. So Bruno Alcaraz now, I don't think he has in him an answer. As you can see, 2 pedestrian sectors to begin the lap. Julio Del Carpio probably won't finish the lap, and same goes for Johnny Gushiken. So I think, well, Johnny is in the wall, so that is out of the question entirely. Maybe Julio can get his lap in, but in just a few seconds his drivers will be unceremoniously kicked out of the track, and we will be beginning the gridding procedures for this 4th race of the championship, the SKR Racing League, live on Apex SCTV. Every race we had so far has been absolutely fantastic, and I think this, with this track that doesn't allow for any mistake, even if a driver gets a little bit of an advantage at the front, it's not certain that he will keep that advantage, especially because these cars are very big, as you were saying in the beginning, Evan, so they can really hit the wall at any moment. Julio Del Carpio gets his time. It's only 36.6, but he will push Johnny Gushiken and Javier Paez back 2 spots, and will start as the last qualifier, and he was the last driver on the track, so we can blimp it and wait for the session to switch over. The qualifying order will be on your screen in just a few seconds as soon as iRacing switches to race mode for this event. I don't know what iRacing is waiting for. There is no one on the track doing a lap. We have a couple of drivers enjoying themselves. No, not even that, because Rafael Benavides is in the pits, so we are just waiting and waiting until iRacing decides that we can go in race mode. Before we go there, and since we are a bit in a lull at the moment, just a reminder that we are going to have the return of the East Coast Thunder Winter Derby. That's going to be tomorrow at 3:40 GMT, live from Bristol Motor Speedway. So that will be absolutely exciting, and now we can have the starting grid for tonight's race. And so it's Dino Torsello from pole position in front of Juan Rivas Prea. 2nd place, his teammate Miguel Lopez Torres is in 3rd, in front of Ignacio Sirinos. Bruno Alcaraz, of course, before him in 5th. Rafael Benavides is 7th, and Freddy Yempen is in 8th place. Christian Vizcarra, El Peruano, is sitting in 9th position in front of Adolfo Macher. 11th place for Juan Martinez, 12th place for Julio Del Carpio. And then rounding up your grid for tonight without a time, the only 2 drivers without time, Johnny Gushiken and Javier Paez. They will round up your grid, and I'm happy to report that we are doing rolling start, and we should be, so I now gather that the standing start from the second round was in fact a mistake from the admins. And it was nice to throw a curveball and keep these drivers on their toes. I would do that every once in a while. I'm
Well,
I make an intentional mistake in setting up the session. So the drivers have to be on their toes before the race.
well, I tell you what, it doesn't hurt to keep them on their toes. At certain times, just makes them better for the starts of these sessions. And as we get ready to go here, they're going to be anxious to make those moves early.
They will absolutely. We are just waiting for Javier Paez, who either is not going to start or will start from pit lane. And so, a bit earlier than scheduled, we are rolling. It's a very, very short pace lap. Drivers are desperately, you can see them in the background, trying to get some heat into their tires, which is easier said than done. And here we go now, the pace car will peel into pit lane, going forwards. Dio Sassone will lead the way and has a massive jump over the rest of the field. Now he slows down, then he picks up the pace again. And we are racing for the 4th round of the SKR Championship with Dino Torsello getting the best jump possible. Juan Rivas Brea and Lopez Torres, they are all single file as they move into the tricky part of the racetrack with all the chicanes.
Yeah, this is what Torcello wanted here. Start to build that gap early on. We got just a warm enough track here. Looks like he had a little bit of a moment there. We got a warm enough track here where you create a little bit of dirty air behind, and it's going to make it a little bit slippery for those cars to mount a challenge on you.
Man, Dino was all sorts of sideways there. I don't know how we saved it. I don't know how all the other drivers didn't pile up on him, but not only that, he managed also to keep the lead. As for a second, Juan Rivas challenging. Now it's Rivas' time to go straight on. That will be a massive slowdown in this first lap with the field decompressed. It's going to be absolutely a nightmare for him to come back.
He's going to be real disappointed with himself there. The good thing, I guess, is he had it happen early on. Let's see if he can settle in and start hitting his braking points and try to make up some of those positions.
You can see the number 11 BMW still having to serve that slowdown. Here comes Dino Sassone. Let's see. Apparently the race was clean. The start was clean because he hasn't gone in to serve a penalty. Rivas Brea should be okay with his slowdown, but look at that. He's down in 9th place. That's a big mountain to climb. So Dino Torsello, fantastic start, almost crashes after the first chicane, saves the car, saves first place, and now his closest rival in the championship, or one of his closest rivals in the championship, has fallen down to 9th place.
And I'm just checking the gaps here from Torcello to Torres. We're looking about 7/10 of a gap here. They're still settling in here, getting these brakes and tires up to temp, and just kind of feeling each other out, see what their kind of lines are here per sector.
Oh man, this chicane always a disaster for me as well, not only for these drivers. Every time you see someone, every lap someone goes straight. It was Ignacio Chirinos this time that went through the daisies, and he will have to serve the slowdown as well as they go 2 by 2. Rivas Brea, Piscarra, Macker and Gempen as they battle for 7th to 10th position, and looks like Juan Rivas Brea could put a move on Piscarra. He does so, and yeah, now they go past the slow car of Chirinos, so double overtake for Brea there. And up into 6th place, and of course now we'll have to keep an eye on the clock and see as Biscarra almost smashing into the wall of champions there on the right. 32.3 for Torres. That's the fastest lap of the race so far, and I'm expecting these lap times to go lower and lower as the night goes on.
Yeah, Torres, he's trying to He's trying to put the gauntlet down right now, put down some quick lap times here. See if he can get himself out of that kind of wake, that slipstream, if you will, and force Torcello there back into the reins of Otero.
What happened to the race leader? Torcello has been overtaken by Miguel Lopez Torres somewhere.
Yes. He must have had a slowdown here somewhere. Let's see this on this replay.
Okay, this is the previous lap, so this is not it. This should be it. So same chicane. Ooh, the curve there. Oh, and he hit the wall very hard.
Yeah, that looked like pretty good contact. We're gonna have to see if that's knocked the toe out at all. See if his steering's straight. He could be struggling at the moment here.
That steering doesn't look very straight, and also look at the hood on his car, BMW there, looking a little bit second-handed.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to watch his lap times here. That was good enough amount of contact where you're gonna have to change up your driving style a little bit, maybe change your braking marks.
So in the meantime, Juan Rivas Brea gets the fastest lap of the race now, collides with a struggling Rafael Benavides. Let's see if he has damage on the front end of his car. The car seems to be clean. The same can't be said for Bruno Alcaraz there, who's showing some battle scars on the rear right of his Corvette. So Brea on a fight back, and now he could be very well into P4 by the end of this lap. Here we go. Great pass from Rivas Brea, and he's up into 4th place, and in front of him Dino Torcello. You can see him, Evan is struggling, he's losing up compared to Lopez Torres, and he's falling to the clutches of Mauricio Otero, so definitely he has to hold on. I think these drivers, I think they get a fast repair if I'm not mistaken, so he needs to hold on until the pit window is open basically and get the fast repair, because if he stops now I think he will have to stop again, and that would be of course a disaster in terms of time lost in the pits.
Yeah, that's correct. At this point, you know, since it's a sprint race, he's just gonna have to suffer it out. And as you're saying here, Otero's catching up quickly. Not very many battle scars on that car, as I can see at the moment.
Let's see a time comparison between Sassone Torcello and Rivas Brea in the last few laps. And you can see that I put the information in the wrong box. So just bear with me for a second. There we go. And yeah, he is losing big in his last 3 laps. So expect, I would say, Evan, this fight for 2nd place to become a 3-way fight relatively soon.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate with the amount of contact he had. You know, when the steering's not straight like that, you know, you're just losing tenths in each corner, and this is somewhat a technical track, so you know it's not going to be out of the reins, you know, if he's a half second or more off on these lap times compared to before.
And also, I think it's also like in the back of your mind, no? It's very tough to get that out of your head, the mistake you made, and you look at that 7/10 of a second now he lost in this lap. So compared to Rivas Brea, and of course in the meantime, Rivas Brea is also closing in on Mauricio Otero, who's basically stuck, so to speak, behind Torcello. And yeah, this will be a very interesting 3-way fight very soon. In the meantime, our race leader is pulling away considerably from 2nd place. We could see it And now we have the confirmation from the timing sheets that he is pulling away. Look at that, basically 1 second and a half, 1 second, and then 5 half a second, basically, in lap 4 and lap 5. So for Miguel Lopez Torres, this looks like it could be a good day. There's still a long way to go, of course, but so far so good for him, and the fight for second and third and fourth getting very, very spicy.
Yeah, like we said at the top of the show here, Torres, once he got that clean air and you kind of, you're more than about that second and a half ahead, it's harder for them to get a draft or anything off you, and it just changes the complexion of the arrow on these cars for second, third, fourth, fifth place. So he just needs to keep hitting his marks, and he's going to keep extending this gap. For these guys behind, you kind of have to be thinking in the back of your head, since this is a sprint race, where they're going to pit. Are they going to try to, undercut or go for the overcut? And, we got to pay attention about pit speed too, if that catches anybody here.
So the difference between first and second is 3 points, with 16 points lead for Sassone over Lopez Torres in the standings. It's not the end of the world if he can manage, a second or a third or a fourth. The problem for him is, of course, with this kind of damage, if he can't hold on and then has another crash, now that could become problematic in the standings. Oh, I don't want to jinx him, but that was super dangerous. Did you see that, Evan? He was again riding on the curb. Those curbs are there because they can't distract when the Nationwide Series was here. So they had these big white curbs put by NASCAR there to avoid, happy, let's say, apex cutting, and we are stuck with them in iRacing, which is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I understand completely. Those cars, those Xfinity cars, they're quite heavy, so they needed them to get those things slowed down. For him, it's not helping having that damage, and the problem is that, with your wheel not square like that, you tend to just naturally need to use more of the track to get the thing turned where you want it. So it's just going to be tough here. Maybe he can get some help here with people having off tracks with slowdowns. That's a potential thing that could help him out here. But he's just got to, hope he don't get any more damage here and make this problem any worse.
And now, as you can see, Rivas Brea has officially caught this train, and now he's putting Otero under big pressure. It's been a remarkable comeback for him, and of course not over just yet, as we have a problem for Adolfo Macker. I think he got a slowdown. He's very slow and wide out of the racing line. Got passed by Martinez and Gempen, so down to P10 as Ignacio Sirinos is in the pits, but this looks like a very long stop because it is exceeding the 2-minute mark, or maybe just towed back to the pits. Let's get a super quick replay because Brea is basically glued to Otero, and I'm afraid I know what happened here. He might have lost it and hit the wall on the right. I don't know how many times I've done this mistake, Evan.
I was about to say I've made that mistake many a time.
And back to another lap again. Otero seems to be holding on, but Brea wants to get the move done as soon as possible. This could be it. Let's see. Needs to go deep on the brakes. That's what he does. And now cutting on the inside. Great defense from the Peruvian driver. And things stay the same.
Tell you what, though, he poked it in there. He kind of sniffed a little bit, and he got him.
Oh, the leader has crashed!
Oh no!
Oh dearie me! Does he have damage? I think he does. He's super slow. Oh man, this race.
This is getting crazy now. I'm not seeing real significant damage here.
See if we can get a replay. See if he hit the wall or if it's just a spin, but the walls are so close there that let's see. He might have gotten away with it. Just a little bit of a you know, as you were saying, yeah.
Trying to put the gas down a little bit too early, and just the way he had the car position there after coming off the curve, it can kind of wheel hop on you a little bit.
I think.
But the main thing is we got a pack of 4 here now racing for the lead.
This is amazing. I told you it was going to be fun tonight. So I think that Lopez Torres, if he hit the wall, it's just a little bit of a nudge, nothing compared to the big smash that Dino had, so he was incredibly lucky. But as we were saying in the opening, even if you have a big lead, this track can bite you and can bite you quickly. So let's keep an eye on this quartet at the front of the field, as once again Otero has been caught relatively quickly by Rivas, but passing, especially with these big GTs, is a whole other story.
Yeah, now with these guys bunched up, the chances, they're looking in the rearview mirror, they outbrake themselves, and they get a corner cut. You don't want to have too many of them, because then you're going to get dropped by these guys as they kind of have their own little natural kind of draft going on here. So they got to be super careful here.
Bruno Alcaraz is closing in on these guys, but he's 6 seconds away from Rivas, so I think he needs them to keep fighting for a big time, long time. It's still a long way to go for him. And you can see Lopez. Oh, the Torsello is straight on. As you were saying, wow.
Outbreak himself there, or did he get punted a little bit?
I think he outbraked himself, and your prediction was correct. Let's see. Ooh.
Again, these guys, they're feeling the pressure here. Once the leader there had his troubles, it kind of stacked things up a little bit. There's a case of having a little bit of nerves, and then there's also that dirty air that they're dealing with being behind, where it just naturally changes the balance of the car, where it can go from loose to tight, some oversteer, some understeer, and that's affecting these guys right now. They might also be trying to adjust their brake biases as the fuel burns off here.
I'm absolutely shocked by the fact that you correctly predicted this happening like 30 seconds before it happened, because usually what we are very good at here at Apex Racing TV is getting things wrong, especially strategies or jinxing people, but that was a great call from you, and welcome change, especially because I consider myself like the king of wrong predictions. So Torsello really making a mistake under pressure, as you were saying. Let's see. I think he's hoping for that pit window to open as soon as he wants to go and get the faster pair, get the fuel in, and get a sort of a fresh start, because what this has created, of course, Brea and Otero had to avoid the crash. Lopez Torres has no damage, no significant damage, so he was already pulling away once again, but now with this mistake from Torsello and the slowdown the two guys had to take to avoid him, basically, has given Lopez Torres the ability to pull away once again. As I think, pit window still closed. I think we got Freddy Gempen trying to make a pass on Juan Martinez.
Yeah, and this is a battle for 8th here, as he's gonna send it up the inside here. As they battle, a little bit tight there on exit. They give each other plenty of room, though.
Some headlights flashing from Martinez, which usually mean that the driver is not happy, but that's a good pass. And now also closing in is Adolfo Macher. Mistake there from Martinez.
He's gonna get a good. Did he try send it? Nope. He's gonna fall in line. It's hard to get a good line and entry if you're gonna try to overtake someone in that region, because you're just gonna run wide into the wall.
In the meantime, while we were looking away, I think finally Juan Rivas Brea has passed Mauricio Otero.
Well, I gotta hand it to him for how long as long as he did there. Putting up quite a fight now with the damage on that car.
So now let's see. Time comparison will be very interesting, especially the sectors. It seems to me like that BMW is closing in very quickly on the Corvette in the lead. Let's see this lap time. Lap 12, which will start, lap 13 will start as they, cross the start finish line. Let's see the lap 12 comparison. And yeah, 6/10 of a second, and in those, it was at the beginning of the lap, but Brea had to make an overtake in that lap, and he still managed to gain 6/10 of a second. So this goes to show what you were saying earlier, how important it is to have that clean air and to have a free mind, because look at that, Otero now is plummeting down and back into the clutches of Sassone Torsello once again.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind here for Rivas Bria, in that BMW, I've heard that BMW works a little bit better in the straight line, has a little bit more top end speed. So it'll be interesting to see here his sectors compared to with Torres in that Corvette that I found from driving is a little bit better in the medium speed corners, just to see where those gains are coming.
So Lopez Torres now is pushing once again. He has his fastest second sector of the race, and he's pulling away. He had a little bit of a slide coming out of the hairpin, so this seems like a better lap for the race leader. Let's see if he's going to lose a bit here on the back. So as you can see, the gap going down. As you were saying, this BMW really likes the straights. Into the final chicane, super aggressive. I don't know. As Torsello goes into the pits, final sector goes to, wow, look at that, man, incredible top end speed from the BMW.
Yeah, they do show pretty quick speed. These another thing with this Corvette that can be a little bit challenging, you have a little bit more stability and grip in the corners, but then also to kind of match up that time with the BMW, you can't overdrive those corners. You just gotta hit them nice and clean, and the time will come.
Here comes Benavides, Martinez is in, Chirinos has been there for a bunch of laps. But I'm not seeing any fast repair for Torsello, and that damage is still there. But look at the
I don't find
now.
that too surprising, since it's a sprint race. Most guys probably are gonna, avoid as much time as they can. I'm showing like it's came down about 7/10 of a second there, 8/10.
Yeah, it's going down quickly, and now here comes the favorable sector in for the BMW. Of course, let's not forget these two drivers are teammates, so they probably are on the radio with each other, as you can see. Skulls and Dragons, and one goes in and the other stays out.
What we saw there, that was about a second 1.1 gap there before he ducked in. So we'll see here if he makes any gains or not. You can gain a lot of time on pit road if you hit your marks right.
Everyone is in, and someone is not out yet. Dino Torsello, I think that damage has proven to be a very long repair, and he's a lap down now.
But he put up a pretty good fight there. Is this him coming out now? No, we're on Leaping. But yeah, that was a pretty significant hit the car took there, so it's just unfortunate. These things happen though in racing.
So the pit lane time, 43 seconds for Lopez Torres. Should have it on the screen. Yeah, there we go. 45 seconds for Otero. So Lopez Torres gaining a bit more on Otero there, but Otero now is very safe, because behind him there is Freddy Gempen and Julio Del Carpio, who still have to stop, as you will see now in the pit stops graphics. Big fat 0 next to their names. As for our race leader, who I think he is heading in right now.
And the last thing you want right here is a pit speeding penalty. So everything's going right here. You just gotta stay focused, hit your marks, and then get a good exit here. because there's a good chance you're going to be battling on exit. It was about a second gap.
So here they are on the track map, the leader and the second placed car. Should be a very short and quick stop for Rivas Brea. Here comes Lopez Torres. No, it's a long stop. Lopez Torres with a 9-second stop.
You gotta wonder whether we got the fuel calculation wrong, or if did we accidentally select on tires, or...
Oh dear me, what a surprise this is, also for the championship. Both of the two championship leaders basically... I mean, Dino Torsello now is in 11th place. And this is incredible news, of course, for Miguel Lopez Torres, who I think at this point will basically jump, if not to the lead of the championship, very, very close to it, because Lopez Torres is scoring big. He will score if things hold on, which we have seen tonight is not the safest bet in the world. He will score big, 37 points, whilst Dino Torsello down in 11th. He will score a lot less, and now finally Rivas Brea is out of the pits. He stayed there for 50 seconds. He stayed in his pit stop for 50 seconds compared to the 10 seconds of Lopez Torres and the 11 seconds of Mauricio Otero. So this race keeps on giving us surprises. Now third is Bruno Alcaraz, fourth is Rafael Benavides, and fifth is Cristian Vizcarra, el peruano, who is now looking to pass Rafael Benavides.
I tell you what, Marco, this has been one of the most bizarre races I've watched, and I guess it makes it a little bit appropriate being the first one covered here with Apex Racing TV. But yeah, the only thing I can think of there for Rivas Brea is maybe he was trying to adjust, his fuel calculation. Or maybe he tried adjusting it after he was on pit road. I know if you try to make your fuel calculation after you've hit that pit entry speed, it just goes with the default, I guess, full fuel load there. That's something to look into after the race.
I mean, either that or he forgot. Let's see if he went on the jacks,
Yeah, I kept wondering whether if that could have been a tire change. You wouldn't think so with just the sprint format of this race itself.
Let's see. There we go. Rivas Brea. He's entering the pits because if he went on the jacks, basically you can try to deselect the tires, but once the tire changing procedure begins, but I remember him staying down, so. Not getting up on the jacks, so that's a bizarre one. The car staying there is still at the wheel because we see the wheel moving, and it doesn't seem like the car.
No, I would be wagering to believe it could have been maybe a miscalculation there on the fuel, or that he just didn't get the adjustment done in time. But as we sit here, we're coming up here with, it looks like about 8 minutes, less than 8 minutes in the session. And Lopez Torres is about maintaining that gap there, 7.4 seconds to Otero in P2 right now.
Yeah, so Lopez Torres there. Lap time are in his favor, as you were saying. Yeah, looks like he is safe for the time being. Same goes for Otero, looks good in third. And same goes for Alcaraz, even though you can see Alcaraz has really Benavides and Vizcarra incredibly close to him. So, but they are arguing with each other, so let's see if they can get themselves sorted. Let's see if there is any hope for Brea to gain a position. Yes, he can attack Juan Martinez here, and maybe Adolfo Macher, but he needs to push super hard. So let's see. Let's see the lap time comparison between the pair of them. And Rivas Brea is pushing super hard. He did a 31.9 and he has the fastest lap of the race, which is a 31.86. So he is going super hard. He wants to at least get this position to at least get the most points possible to limit the damage, even though this must be a big disappointment for him. While Dino Sassone is still in the pits and still losing. He could lose a position to Chirinos, who is still on the track and is 3 laps behind him, so he could realistically finish 12th.
I tell you what, there's a battle here for P4 here. Benavides and Vizcarra. Looks like they're within 0.8 of a second of each other here.
Here we go, side by side between the pair of them.
Both in the Porsche, so the air disturbance might not be the same, with the other makes. Let's see how this plays out. He's gonna take a peek to the inside. Let's see how hard he can keep it brake down there. Runs a little bit wide there, but it looks like he's got the pass made here. Got a little bit of damage there to the back of the wing also, I'm seeing on this car.
Yep, you are absolutely correct. Vizcarra has got the right side of the rear wing slightly bent, as finally Martinez has to give up on the assault from Rivas Brea. So now it's a Schumacher next target for the former race leader and the driver who's sitting in down into 9th place in the championship. He missed last round, of course, which is a big issue for him. All things, I mean, all the chips are falling race-wise and championship-wise into Miguel Lopez Torres' basket, as Juan Rivas Brea has a slowdown, and all the good work he had to get past Martinez gets undone.
Yeah, this has just been, the kind of the highlight, the main factor of what's happened in this race today. These slowdowns, and also just feeling pressure from the car behind. Outbraking yourself. These have been the keys to this race so far today, and it's still not too late here for P4 and 5. Vizcarra, Benavides. One wrong move again, and the guy behind, can get an advantage on here. I'm also noticing too, it looks like Otero's, just a little bit, about a half second into that gap of Lopez Torres, but right now he's just on cruise control up there. Just put in some nice solid laps, keep those wheels straight, and things are looking great for him.
Now, lap 19, Vizcarra lost a lot of time, of course, because he had that beautiful side-by-side battles with Benavides. Let's see if, now that he has clean air, if the 3rd place is in danger for Alcaraz, or if he is still okay and Vizcarra will be basically will have to settle for P4. In the meantime, finally Dino Torsello comes out of the pit, so he should be able to stay in front of Chirinos. Look at that, a second and a half gained from Vizcarra on Alcaraz. Now has to contend with the lapped car there of Torsello. Let's see if he's able to pull away or not, but still a lot of things can change as Juan Martinez gets his personal best. Juan Rivas Brea is now 2 seconds, a second and a half behind his rival from Puerto Rico there, and looking like he will have to settle at the most for a 7th place finish. Is the Charlotte race winner.
I tell you what, for Rivas Brea here, I don't think this is quite over just yet. I think there is time for him to get, but he just can't have another one of those slowdowns, over the track limits here. And also for Torsello, you got to hand it to him, staying in there. It's a short race, so any mistakes is gonna really hurt you a lot. But that perseverance goes a long way in a championship, sticking with it.
Here comes Rivas Brea, as Martinez is struggling just a bit to get power down there and braking. He locked the front right, entering the hairpin.
Yeah, this whole sector here with this BMW, he should gain a lot of time here since it's a lot better on the straights. Wouldn't be surprised going in turn 1 here if he's got this down to 2/10. He might make a move right here, Marco.
I think you are quite correct, getting all of those curves and all of the draft, putting the power down, moving on the
There
inside.
he goes. Inside, can he hold it tight? He's going to try that little crossover move here, see if he can keep it tucked to the inside. It's hard to put the power down there. Oh, this is getting nice.
And great defense from the Porsche there. Wow. Of course, you know, the Porsche very, very tricky under the brakes, but I think when it's time to get the power down, it's one of the best cars around. You know, you get that, you know, basically the car with the engine behind. It's like, you know, like having it's like a rocket. Now you have the engine on the back, so if you're good at modulating the throttle, using the traction control wisely, you can get launched. And of course, it creates a whole lot difference of more stability. Of course, having this of course comes big into play when you have a wet racetrack, which is of course not the case. Massive dive bomb there.
Yeah, he was real hard on the brake there. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with this Porsche, you know, and it's a lot more nimble trying to put that power down, but that's where he wanted to get that pass down, because now with that straight line speed here, you would think he could create a gap. Here comes Martinez. He's going to make that move back here. He's got to get that done, though.
And he's in the fence.
The wall. Okay. He's on cruise control mode now to the finish line. Yeah, very hard.
White flag is out. Sorry to catch over there, Evan. And I saw that Vizcarra has closed a lot on Alcaraz, but he also smashed the wall there. So, you know.
Yeah, it looks like Otero too gained a lot more time there on Torres. Torres could have again just been kind of on cruise control, but looks like he brought it down about 2 seconds there over that whole run there after the pit stop.
Look at that, a whole bunch of green. You are absolutely correct, but sadly for Otero that was not enough, and in a race that has seen many different leaders, many surprises, it's a victory for Miguel Lopez Torres, and at the same time I'm seeing in the background Otero second, and more importantly Bruno Alcaraz has spun.
Big crash.
And this gives Vizcarra third place, Benavides jumps to fourth, Macher to fifth, so 3 places have changed. We will get a replay as soon as we can. There must have been some kind of contact. So Vizcarra finishes in third. If he manages to get past the final chicane unscathed, that's what he does. And he now has to beat Benavides to the line, which he does as well. Big disappointment for Alcaraz. He only
that's incredible. And for Chara, he was running P5 or 6 there, I thought, in that final lap. This race has had it all. It's had attrition. It's had some phenomenon on pit road. Great way to start off commentating with you guys.
Oh man, a very, very fun race to commentate this one. A very fun series to commentate as well. Let's see, it was clearly ahead, and oh dear, that was a bit optimistic from the Porsche there. And then they had another contact, and then he spun again. Massive smoke curtain there, and in the end, let's see it from the onboard of Vizcarra there. But I think this is pretty safe. You know, avoidable contact. We'll see what the stewards will decide in the coming days. Oh dear, yeah. And I like how the nose of the Porsche goes down. The rear of the Corvette is a bit high, so it works just like a spoon, basically a shovel. he almost flipped him over.
Yeah, and again, you know, you're talking, you know, final moments, final lap. Emotions are high. You're trying to get everything out of that car you can, and you might have not have positioned the car in that way all race long. So you just don't know that amount of pressure you got to put on the brakes. and he could have been on older tires there, and it was definitely going to get slicker as the run went on. But just a chaotic, bizarre race, and lots of lead changes. Real exciting.
Here we go with the unofficial race results for tonight, with Miguel Lopez Torres bringing home the W and possibly the championship lead, because his main rival, you see him there, Dino Torsello, 7 laps down, only 10th place. But of course, big props to Mauricio Otero for holding on to second place. Rafael Benavides controversially in third, in front of Adolfo Macher and Bruno Alcaraz. Juan Rivas Brea has to settle for 6th after a long and mysteriously long pit stop, I might add. Juan Martinez finishes in 7th, then 8th place for Julio Del Carpio, 9th place for Christian Vizcarra, who finished 3rd on the... So he finished 3rd, did Christian Vizcarra at the finish line, but I think he got tagged with a penalty by race control, and he was pushed, as it usually happens in iRacing, to the back end of the lead lap. So that's why he's sitting in 9th place. So this promotes... there was something bizarre with these results. Let me reload them, but usually they are correct when they show up. Let's see again. No, he's still there. So yeah, he might have been tagged with a penalty. This is either a slowdown he did not serve, which usually happens in the final chicane, but I remember him taking the final chicane extra carefully, or maybe there is live race control, and race control decided he needed a penalty for what he did there. So yeah, Benavides gets the podium then. Macher 4th, again, Alcaraz 5th, all the way down to Vizcarra, who is at the back end of the lead lap. Torsello 10th, as we were saying, 11th for Ian Penn, 12th for Chirinos, 13th from Gushi Ken, and Javier Paez unfortunately did not start. So we also have to add in all of these, Evan, also some post-race mysteries and penalties to your debut broadcast. I think it was interesting way to start.
Yeah, Marco, definitely interesting way to start. There was a lot of action out there. And yeah, it would be interesting to see here on some of these strategy calls, or whether they're just mistakes that happened on pit road that really changed up that top 5 a lot. And then for Vizcarra there at the end, yeah, I thought he was coming home for a podium, but it just goes to show if it was a slowdown or something of that nature, he didn't serve. That was the hot topic this whole race was, people over braking and getting caught with those slowdowns for these track limits today.
We might have an interview, and it looks like we are going to have our race winner with us. If I'm not mistaken, Miguel Lopez Torres should be with us in the booth. Hello, Miguel, and congratulations on the race win. Do you copy us?
Hello, good night. Yes, I'm Miguel. How are you?
Oh, doing fine. I mean, absolutely chaotic race out there. Coming out with the victory is great, and coming out, of course, with, I think, if not the championship lead, a massive jump ahead in points heading into the final round of the season. So, I think it was a good night for you.
Yeah, I was looking forward for this race. I had high hopes because I really like this track, and penalize a lot the mistakes you can have in track. Fortunately, I only had one, and I barely touched the wall, so I didn't have any repairs when I pitted. But I can't say the same for Dino. He had problems since the beginning. In the first lap, he almost lost the car in the first chicane, and then a couple of laps later, he hit the wall pretty hard. And then I got to overtake him, and from then it was pretty much trying to do the same time lapse over and over again.
So
hey, Miguel, it's Evan here. Congrats again on that win. I just wanted to ask, as you're trying to maintain, run those time trial kind of hot laps, did the tires seem to suffer at all as that run went on? It looked like second place was kind of closing the gap down, but we probably thought you were just kind of trying to keep it safe and stable?
When I was first and Juan took second place, he was pushing hard. He was very fast. He was the fastest one in the track. So I knew that sooner or later he was going to catch me. So when I tried to pit, I was like praying to God that he wouldn't overtake me after I pitted. So he made a mistake in the pit entrance. So he took a stop and go penalty. So from then I saw that I had like seven seconds from Mauricio, and my fuel calculator refueled me 1 liter short. So I was trying to maintain the gap and also trying to save a little bit of fuel for like half a lap, so I wouldn't suffer at the end of the race.
Oh, that's real interesting. I guess that's probably where that time gap was probably coming down then with the fuel savings. Yeah, that's just interesting, Marco. There could have been people today that their fuel calculator wasn't working right, and either adding or decreasing the amount that they needed.
Yeah, I mean, it was again, it was super interesting. Lots of surprises, and I mean, I cannot wait for the final one in Le Mans in a couple in a week's time. So I would say once again, congratulations to our race winner, and if he has any shout out or if he wants to say hello to anyone of his choice, this is the moment.
Yeah, this one is for everyone that is looking at the race. Thanks for watching, and also to Juan, that is my teammate and also the co-founder of the team with me. We are the co-founders of our team. So I was cheering for him since the beginning of the championship. I was hoping he would win it, but he couldn't finish the race at Laguna Seca. So it's like all the weight is on my shoulders now. So I'm trying to maintain the winning streak for the team, and I will try to take the championship in the last race. I don't know if I'm going to be close to that, but I'm surely going to give everything I got.
Well, Miguel, you cannot imagine how happy we are that finally we have someone to talk to from the league. So I mean, you can. I don't know how we will feel in a week's time, but no matter how it goes, if you want to come and chat to us, and also ask your fellow racers to come and chat with us after the race. We will be even happier. So thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the win, and good luck for Le Mans.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, guys. Good. You do an amazing job streaming the race. So I will talk to the other guys. So maybe some of them will try to come here for an interview in the at the end of the race. So see you in the last race. So see ya.
And that was
Take care,
our.
Michael.
Yeah, I mean, you are getting like the best package possible, Evan. You also had the first ever interview in 4 races. Usually the drivers from this league were a bit shy, but tonight I'm very happy that they came out for interviews. And so, I mean, what more is there to say from tonight? Well, I can tell you what's coming up next. On Apex Racing TV, I told you that tomorrow we are going to have the return of the East Coast Thunder series, and that is certainly one that you don't want to miss, because that series has been fantastic. They're going to have a one-off race, the Winter Derby from Bristol Motor Speedway with the modifieds. Then also tomorrow, but a bit later than that. I mean that will be in 2 days' time. Sorry. So tomorrow we have the East Coast Thunder Winter Series. So let me get my bearings straight, because with all these time zones, despite all these years, I get pretty confused. So on Saturday we have a very nice day of racing. We will start at 6:15 GMT, 18:15 GMT, for the Apex Racing team broadcast of the Rallycross World Championship race presented by our good friends at Yokohama, round 6 from Sonoma Raceway. Then at 21:05 GMT, the Finding Speed League Season 1, the UK Tour, round 1 at Brands Hatch. Then we are going to have at 8 GMT 20 GMT, but don't quote me on that because it's still not official. The Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Series, presented by VRS, and then as soon as that is over, our open wheeler late night continues with the iRacing Formula 3.5 Challenge at 22 GMT live from Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, and then of course Sunday it's the usual bonanza with the Australian series in the morning, Track Racer GT series, that is at 9:45 GMT in the morning. Then the evening has got a lot of stuff, including the SRF Weekend Warriors Round 8 from Okayama at 7:55 GMT, and then 9:25 GMT, Round 8 of the IGP Fan F3 VRS series from Road America. And then on a Monday morning for us in Europe, and Sunday night for the guys in North America, a special event, Colorado Karting Tour, the 2020 Kick the Rust Off Showdown, that will be at 2 GMT, and by my calculations it will also be 9 Eastern, I can tell you that with certainty. So there's a lot of stuff coming on, but hopefully I think that this has been a very, very entertaining race. So any closing thoughts, Evan, before we say goodnight?
Oh, I'm just ready for that action-packed racing schedule you got for this weekend, and hope we get a lot of viewers. I'll definitely have the popcorn ready. It sounds like a great variety, and it's been great broadcasting this SKR Racing League race with you tonight, Marco. Hoping for more great moments in the future.
That's fantastic. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for sticking with us. And hopefully you can stay connected to Apex Racing TV. You can follow us on many social media platforms and get ready for an action-packed weekend here on our channel. So from everyone here at Apex Racing TV, and of course for Ivan Hood besides me, I'm Marco Barbanera, and I wish you, as per usual, good night and happy racing.